Hey everyone, how you doing this evening? This is Katie again. Tonight I have a neat topic that kind of goes into the next thing I want to talk about and also gives you a little bit of an idea of what I've been going through recently and just kind of where I am at right now as well. This topic is going to be paths of separation and transition. Um, Everyone comes to a point during their transition that I've seen that the past have to separate from their lives before and their new lives. Sometimes that's not immediate. Sometimes, it can take quite a while. Sometimes, I'm not sure. For some people, it could never happen. But for me, basically, everyone goes through their own individual process with transition, and that's what makes it unique. Finding that process for yourself is between your path, how you work through it, and what you do. For me, what I did is I decided to go ahead and stay where I was before during my transition. So I didn't move. I stayed with my same friends, my family. I stayed in the same job that I was in. And I decided that instead of kind of starting over, which some people do, I was just going to go ahead and bear through it and, make it work where I was. So when I came out, I had the difficulty of coming out to my family, my friends, my work, and just had to really be able to try to continue my life. I owned a house, so it was a lot. It was pretty hard. And for me, at first, that's what I wanted. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to restart. And I got lucky. Unfortunately, my parents weren't supportive. But my aunt, my grandmother, my cousins, and a lot of different people around me. I was fortunate enough to be a part of an amazing support group in Orlando, and had an amazing therapist, and built a strong community for myself. Did I lose people? Yes, I lost a lot of people. I had other people that just weren't really comfortable with being around me, and were having a really hard time with my transition, even though they did say they supported me. For me, I transitioned. I started back in physical transition with hormones January of 2013, and then I started going full time in probably around right at the beginning of May of 2013, and then I came out at work and started living full time as Katie. Um, and for that process, it worked at first. Unfortunately, in that job, it didn't continue working there. I was having issues with different people, and so I did end up losing that job, and going through several more. I had my house. It was under my old name still, and so that was kind of a pain. I started a lot of things coming there in my name, and I had certain family members and certain friends that just couldn't really accept. And so dealing with that on a daily basis was something that, I had to learn. But I did. And I was in Florida for about almost, right towards 2 years of transition. And recently, it was this last December, I went through a process of of looking at a job that I just didn't feel comfortable at anymore. The career path I was in was a path I decided to go in um, due to ease, and because I was in it before. It's not really where my passion laid, though. And so I decided that, it wasn't really something I wanted, but I continued to stay in it. That built a lot of stress for me. And also, I owned a home as well, and I was a little bit young for it, and with the stress of transition and everything, I just wasn't really prepared to have all that in my life, and so that made it really hard. And really, that stress just kept building up and building up for me. I then kind of figured out that it was too much, and ended up having a pretty big breakdown and just couldn't take it anymore. And for me, the question came that I had never really thought about was, who am I as Katie? And, what do I want to be? What does Katie want to be? Not, who I was before. In a way, part of that is the same, but a lot of that changes when you transition. The way you think sometimes, the way you see things, your likes and ambitions can change because your confidence level changes. You realize that now, because you're yourself, and you come out more confident. I was a pretty introverted person, and now I'm extremely extroverted. And, the type of job that I was in, was different because of that. And the things I liked, and being able to be confident enough to have ambitions to do what my passion lies, instead of just what, I've been doing. And so for me, I didn't want that anymore. And my body was feeling it. I was becoming depressed. I was starting to become ill, frequently, from the stress put onto my body. And so I freaked out, and I couldn't answer these questions, and so I ran. Um, that's what it took for me to start asking these questions. I ended up leaving Florida on, 24 hours notice, maybe less, even less than that. It was Friday afternoon, and I left the next morning. And I went to one of my best friend's house in Texas and stayed there for, about a month or so, and really just dug into those questions on, who does Katie want to be? What do I want, as Katie? And, and why there was an issue with that, on where I was, and, the life that I continued living prior to the one that I had in transition, and not having a separation of that. For me, it took about that 2 years to get to the point to where I needed a separation. And I've talked to a few other friends, and they've gone through the same thing. My friend in Texas he went through the same thing, and so he offered to help me. And while I was there, I had a lot of fun, but I also, delve into these questions, and I made a plan for myself. For me, it was that I needed a change of pace in my life. I needed to start, I just needed a new start, and I needed to figure out things separately than what I was doing before. And so I decided to actually do something pretty drastic. I moved across the United States into Seattle, Washington, and I'm here now. I don't own a home anymore. I sold my home, and I just am kind of starting over and finding myself in new ways. I love it. It feels really good to be free and to be up here. And I know I want to go back to school eventually, so that's something I'm saving up for. Plus, I have some personal goals that I want to meet. The big thing for me, though, was just, that move was kind of what I needed, to be somewhere fresh that I've never been, to be around new people. I do have some friends here, so it's good because I still have that community based. My family and I are still very close. My aunt, my uncle, and my cousins and my grandmother, I stay in touch with them, just about every day, and, I really want to stay close to them. But that separation of paths was a big deal for me. And so I decided that the move is what I need, and I'm starting and on a new career path. I just got a job up in Seattle, and I'm going to start doing something very different than I was doing before, and I'm going to see where it goes. But that was just the thing that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and that's been affecting me, is a separation of your path, of where you were prior to transition, and what your goals, your aspirations, and where your path was leading you then, compared to during and after transition, how that path can change, and the reason that changes for me, and that what I've seen, is because you change yourself. You become more of yourself and whole in who you are, and that helps affect the things around you, and what you like, and where your aspirations are, because now you have so many more options, because you don't have to be scared about who you are. You can be more confident. At least for me, that's how it was. And so I'd love to hear, different things from people. I always keep an eye out, especially on topics that I've recently coming up with and that I'm going to keep coming up with. So I'd love to hear comments or anything like that as well. And I don't know, think about your path in transition and or your friends or family's transition. And has that changed? Are they this is it the same as it was before, or did things open up for them that they didn't see? So that's all I wanted to say for today. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.